Moving on. I don't know why. I can't remember why I wanted to talk about this, but I wanted to talk about Ddlg. For those of you who don't know, Ddlg is like a BDSM thing. Daddy dom little girl, and it's like this big thing. It's a huge popular fetish. For no reason at all, right? I guess it's just media that makes these women want to be dominated by a father figure, right? I guess that's just indoctrination, right? From the social culture that we live in, right? Nothing inherent about the female psyche that makes them want that. But now that I recall, I think I want to talk about this because that dumb whore, whatever the hell her name is, who was posting on R9K, she's not even worthy of a name, frankly, but she got half decapitated, which I don't know how you get half decapitated, but okay, I guess that's a thing now. By, some guy that she's kind of messing around with and, kind of like toying with him, really. It's like a sadistic sort of messing with him, like, yeah, I was just using you and all that shit. But she represented an archetype of female that I'm very familiar with and that I've seen so many times, which is the Ddlg girl, to put it lightly. And it's like, a lot of these girls, they do have this really fucked up psychology. And I noticed the more they fraud innocence, the more they fake innocence and play like the, quick blinking, prissy, little innocent princess. The more they pretend to be like that, the more they want to be like dominated and like choked and fucked. And like I've known girls like this, like I'm telling you. And some of the abuse that they welcome in the bedroom is disturbing. Like, it is like psychopathic. It's like straight up like torture chamber kind of stuff. I'm telling you. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about that, but I'm telling you, like it's that kind of shit. It's like borderline fucking Ramsey Bolton type shit that they're into. And like the more they seem to fraud this innocent American princess image, the more they seem to be like total filthy degenerates in the bedroom. And that kind of goes into another concept of my book that I brought up in the book review with Michelle Langley, which is the female image. The need to maintain this image of innocence and all that. But yeah, having a daughter is cucked, and this is I just hate the idea of having a daughter who turns out to be like that. And that's why, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna be an absentee. If I ever have a daughter in particular, I don't know if I'll be a deadbeat dad if I have a son. But you gotta think about, like, that son will probably have daughters someday. Like, I'm so off women that I don't even want to have a daughter. Like, that is so I can hardly think of a more repulsive, shameful thing at this point in this clown world timeline. But anyways, and yeah, I knew this girl who liked spanking, and she said that she liked that because her dad would spank her. Like, that was the reason that she gave. So clearly there's some sort of daddy issue, like weird mentality going on with that whole Ddlg shit. So back to Michelle Langley. She talks about, this is a very overlooked book. Like, I know I probably, in my recent videos, I seem obsessed with this lady's work, but it's very overlooked. If you see my rotating polyandry video, then that's kind of how I got introduced to her books. But anyways, I just want to touch on again, like, how she talks about how women aren't committed, because that so resonates with me. It's women who monkey branch, women who cheat at the drop of a dime, women who are hypergamous, women who leave you if even the slightest thing goes wrong. And yet they're considered to be the ones who are like the committed ones who want relationships and all that stuff. is just obviously so false. I don't understand how, without conscience, we can promote these kinds of lies in society. You know, and another thing is like how she talks about you can only really enjoy something if you're fully committed. And a lot of people mistakenly try to fix, a lot of women try mistakenly try to fix the problem of their non-committalness by either cheating or trying to be in an open relationship, and oftentimes being successful because their men are so cucked and pathetic. And I went into how that's like really evil because, you know, oftentimes the open relationship proposition is posed because she knows full well that that man is low value, and that's part of the reason she doesn't want to. She wants an open relationship, and she knows he has nobody else, and she's like his emotional crutch and all that stuff, and that's why she's that's why a lot of these dudes end up saying yes to the open relationship proposition. But again, like I was saying, you can't fix the problem of non-committalness or being non-committal or having commitment phobia or whatever, which forbids the true enjoyment of a thing, according to Michelle Langley and others. You can't fix that problem by being more non-committal. And that therein lies the problem with women and a lot of their relationships. With that said, for a woman, a relationship is like putting all of her eggs literally and figuratively into one basket. It's the same thing for a man, especially with divorce court and all that shit. But the thing is, on a fundamental, essential, spiritual level, if you will, men do not need women to survive, whereas women can't even wipe their asses without men. So that's why you'll often hear about a dude getting sick or losing his job or whatever, and then she immediately breaks up with him, you know. And it's easy for her because she's already planning it. She already had her foot halfway out the door. And she's just waiting for the excuse, quote unquote, which no one will criticize her for. Like, oh, you left a man without a job. A broke man is like a broke hand. Can't do nothing with it. It's easier for a man to stay with a useless woman because she's going to be useless regardless. She's a woman. Like, so it's like, even if she weren't useless, he would likely not have the luxury of exploiting any utility that she could possibly provide to him. Being loyal, this is why being loyal to women is stupid. But at the same time, it's like, men, we have that inherent honor code, you know, but that shit needs to be ditched, honestly. At the very least, we need to ditch that when we're dealing with women. This is what the alpha negatives and the Tyrone thugs get that normies and honorable men don't get. Or maybe I shouldn't say honorable. Honorable has a positive connotation. Maybe they're just ignorant. Maybe they're just doggish. Maybe they're just sheepish instead of honorable. IQ doesn't even factor in here. You know, IQ in a lot, or intelligence or philosophizing, is largely a byproduct of low value. You know, I always think of that scene from Game of Thrones. Yeah, you know, I'll admit I watched that kike shit. It was really bad, you know, to be real. Like, it got really bad after like the first season or two. But anyways, there's that scene with Jason Momoa, who plays one of the called Drogo, and he's like, you know, some philosophical question. He gets asked some philosophical question, and he's like, these kinds of things are for men with skinny arms to ponder and bald heads, or whatever he said. And, you know, surprise, surprise, like, that's true. That's true. And in other words, the men that women don't want. And, you know, ironically, like, these low IQ, brutish types of men are the ones that women love. You know, like, Khal Drogo was like a low IQ brute, and women loved that character. You know, don't tell me they didn't. But anyways, these kinds of dudes, like the alpha negatives and Tyrone thugs, you know, going back to like the modern guys or the modern iteration of that, they're in a position to know how women are, because, and especially like these rappers who got a bunch of women on their dick all the time, and they're always rapping about bitches ain't shit and money, you know, but money, and most of these guys, I think, were made. I bet they were made by women and not born. You know, they saw female nature. They probably tried to love a female at some point or another, and they got so like shut down and just disappointed and probably cheated on that they just went quote unquote savage mode, like I was talking about earlier. Another thing about these high value dudes, high value to women. Hold on, let me take a drink real quick. Wow, shit hit me kind of hard. But anyways, okay, so when a man leaves a woman after putting up with her constant nagging and bullshit, and he's quiet, he holds frame, quote unquote, I get the impression these women are actually kind of surprised when this happens, because they get the false idea that because he's not saying anything, this means that she wasn't a piece of shit. And like all her unwarranted nagging and complaining was true. It's kind of ironic like that. But at the same time, it's like if he was to object and if he was to fight back with her, she could also use that as a reason to be upset with him. And this kind of goes into another Langleyan concept. I guess that's the term I'll use now, which is not an original concept, but it's, you know, it's one of the many things she writes about in her book, you know. So I'm just gonna use that term as like a catch-all. The idea that women want men's presence, and women are actually mad when men don't argue with them because they feel ignored. And I think there is some truth to that, but I don't think that necessarily that if a man engages with a woman and yells back at her and all that stuff and gives her his quote unquote presence, I don't think that necessarily will make her happy either. So that's something that's a little a walty for Langley to believe. When he finally ups and leaves, she thinks that it's because men ain't shit, you know. But it's like he was tolerating that bullshit all along, in part because he was a good guy. You know, in part because he was because he didn't see any good would come out of arguing with her. And meanwhile, the only guy that will stick around is ironically the low value guy. And his sticking around is what validates his low value. Because guys who have even the slightest alternative to tolerating the constant nagging of a female will leave. Oftentimes, at least. You know, again, some men out of that sense of honor and obligation or whatever will stay. But it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here. This seems kind of incoherent, but I'm sure you can make sense of this. I think women know how horrible they are at the end of the day. So, but what really hurts, and I swear I saw a study about this not too long ago, but I need to find it. But what really hurts and what really sucks is that when women get played by like upper value men, they will take out their anger on low value men as if those are the guys who hurt them. But it's like, no, those are the guys that are easy to pick on, you know. Those low value men are like, if you think about it, sort of like the sacrificial lambs for high value men, because women can't actually strike back at high value men, especially when you factor in wealth and all that stuff. You think these feminist cunts who hate Trump can touch him in any way, shape, or form? Hell no. You think he cares about them? You think he's losing sleep over them? No, he's literally in bed with one. You know, he's slept with countless women like this, most likely. So it's like how high value men, especially when you factor in social class and economics, are untouchable to these women. So what do? They punch down. They attack low value men. You know, those are the men who are wearing the pussy hats. Those are the men who are taking the brunt of all critique against men, period. That's why apex fallacy is so important as well, I think. It's just not fair how much average men who want nothing more than just love, you know, from a female, regardless of how good that actually will be for them in the long run, just get so mercilessly attacked by women who are simply bitter alpha widows who got played by Chad and who hate high status white men and all that stuff, who are Jewish half the time, or like Jewish apologists like Trump, or Jewish sellouts like Trump, married all his kids to Jews. Anyways, I'll probably have some more videos coming up. I want to do maybe some more poetry or / rap, whatever the fuck you want to call it, videos. I want to do a video of me browsing, because I troll Reddit a lot. I like the rate me selfie subs, like calling people ugly and shit. I kind of want to do a video of me just browsing through that and just like laughing at these people. I try to avoid making fun of the men, but like I saw this one dude who had like big ass lips. I mean, of course he was black. And I was like, they look like two hot dogs. But I don't know. Maybe this is like my way of striking back at the world. I honestly, generally, for a while, I never liked talking shit about people, but it's like, why not? Especially women. You know, if I know for a fact she would swipe me left on Tinder, I feel absolutely no guilt talking shit about her. And 99.9% of women will. So anyways, just wrapping this up. I wanted to talk about money a little bit, but I think I'll save that for another video, which it'll fit more into. Anyways, yeah, probably more content coming. Probably not. I don't know. Nothing is guaranteed in life, right? So, anyways, peace.